What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another live stream. Excited to see everyone. And first and foremost, apologize about yesterday. I know. You know, I started a live stream, then I noticed that I had the meeting in like 10 minutes and I had to finish the live stream. So apologize about that. Excited to see everyone again. And yes, today we're definitely starting this new project all together. How everyone is feeling today? Oh boy, oh boy. Rika Safina, welcome to the chat. Arthur, Duke10, welcome to the chat. Arthur as well. Yakira, welcome to the chat. Nice to see you, man. Linus Dev, thank you so much for the T1 subscription. I really appreciate your support, dude. Arthur is saying, really excited for the stream. Never had the guts to try inertia. I guess today is the day. In fact, I think we'll take a couple of streams before we actually do any front end, especially because you know, if you are starting a project from scratch, today we are going to scratch a little bit, you know, the skeleton, and then come up with a domain logic for the project. So models, you know, potentially actions, some controllers as well. And once we have all of that done, we then do the front end. You know, I won't do any front end at all before I actually have everything ready on the back end. You know what I mean? If you guys want me to build this thing like I usually would do, I would never start by the front end. You know, I would typically do the entire back end and then come up with the front end. There is a likelihood that I actually, when I start the front end of this project, I may actually start with the new starter kits that Laravel are literally preparing, you know? Because Laravel, you guys know, Laravel is literally starting new starter kits, starting Laravel 11 or Laravel 12. And, you know, I'm going to likely use the React frontend starter kit, the new one, for this project. I'm very likely to do some TDD, yes. By the way, how you guys are feeling today? How the week is going, you know? Are you guys having fun this week? Did you guys do your sports today? Reminder, every day you need to do sports, get out, you know, go for a run, anything, and then drink water every single day as well. Don't forget about that, okay? But yeah, we are going to have an API because obviously people will send events. For those who don't know, like, you probably didn't follow, you know, so let's recap a little bit everything we have talked about last stream. So the goal is, oops, not this one. This one, there we go. So the goal is literally do a project all together. You guys know we have done pack PHP that was delivered and delivered successfully. Actually, let me check how we are regarding stats here. If I go here into you know, pack PHP and pack, this project got delivered is with more than 250 GitHub stars, which is quite cool. And just to give you the perspective, Pan PHP got 1,000 GitHub stars in 1 week. Okay, but these are an exception as well. Okay, this project Pan PHP is an exception because, you know, it's something like people didn't saw before, you know what I mean? And Pack PHP is usually a tooling tool, so I don't think we'll get as much traction regarding GitHub stars, but over time we'll get more people in using it. That's for sure. Okay. So that's the goal. So basically we are building a SaaS, and the SaaS will basically be an analytics tool. Okay, will be basically kind of what Pan PHP already is. So a lightweight, privacy-focused PHP SaaS analytics tool. Okay, so instead of sending this like impressions, overs and clicks and everything to the backend, to the customer's backend, we're going to send this to our own SaaS, to our own API, consume that events, potentially use some shards, you know, some AI to compute like all what those impressions mean. And over time, we are going to deliver a full analytics product with, you know, workflows, try to understand like, you know, if you have a shop or something like that, why exactly the customer didn't actually buy the product at the end, what was the phase during, you know, adding the product to the chart, putting the address, putting the credit card, when exactly the customer closed the window, this kind of things, you know what I mean? Like a full fleshed out analytics product. So we are going to use, you know, possibly SQLite, we are going to use a lot of technologies, we are going to have a front end built with TypeScript, React potentially, you know, it'll be super fun. I think everyone will have fun. So today I don't have a meeting. Oh my god, now I will be mocked because of this for the rest of my life. Oh my god. Yesterday, if you weren't here, basically, I started a live stream and I was literally telling you guys what I was, planning for the future regarding this SaaS we are building together. And literally, someone from Laravel came to the chat and just said, "Hey dude, we have a meeting in like 10 minutes. Do you mind of coming, please?" It was like a company meeting, so I really had to go. Oh my god, I really apologize, man. So I went to the company meeting and people were like a little bit, some people were laughing like, oh my god, this guy didn't even know that he had the company meeting. So I know I have a company meeting. Is that, I have this set up on my calendar, but for some reason when I'm on live stream, I literally disable all notifications so you guys cannot see like a notification from Laravel, and I just forgot about it, basically. That's it. I forgot about it. I assume. I apologize. Charlie French Boy, welcome to the stream. Varkov, Tutu, Garva Boy, Pleag and Flow, nice to see you, dude. Tutu, nice to see you. Exodus, nice to see you as well, man. So we do need a domain for this analytics tool. At the moment, I have already pushed the skeleton to this Nuno Maduro project SaaS. Okay, so this is like the very beginning of the project. Literally almost nothing to begin with. You know what I mean? I'm gonna publish here so you guys can check it out. But it's literally the skeleton of Laravel, which will allow us to build kind of the domain of this project. Now, something I will for sure do is that I want to have something live as quick as possible. So I want to have this project on Laravel Cloud as quick as possible with a real domain, with real usage. Fast as possible. I don't know if you guys know, but like Pinkery.com, it got live in 48 hours. I did the project, I bought the domain, I started the project Saturday morning, and I launched the project Monday morning. So it was 44, you know what I mean? Jonas Breed, thank you so much for the 2-month subscription already, tier 1. I really appreciate your support, dude. By the way, if you guys don't know me, my name is Nuno Maduro. I'm a Laravel team member, PHP. I love PHP, I love Laravel, and I'm streaming every single day at 9 p.m. And a great way of supporting my work is literally give me a follow. You follow me on YouTube, you follow me on Twitch. That's a great way of supporting my work. And you can also subscribe me on Twitch if you want to support financially my channel, and all the money will be reinvested on making the stream better. And I was just saying that Pinkery actually got released in 48 hours. So obviously for this analytics tool will be impossible because I will be speaking with you guys. I won't be like coding nonstop for 48 hours and I have work tomorrow and everything. But I want to have something online or live ASAP, like as soon as possible. So I need you guys to come up with a domain for this project. Yes. A domain, yes. So I need a domain so I can move everything on GitHub to its own repository, which will be called potentially, let's say Panalytics, for example, or something like that. Panalytics.com. So I want to move that to an organization on Panalytics.com, and then we'll have separate repo for the website, which will be this one transferred for the, for that repo. And then we launch the project on Laravel Cloud with a real domain. And we need to be super focused. Like, let's focus on providing one single functionality. And I was thinking that the single functionality that we are going to provide is literally impressions, overs, and clicks. Like providing a way of seeing your analytics on this SaaS, like how many times people saw a specific tab, for example, or how many times people over the purchase click but didn't actually click, like the most basic stuff we can think of, and then actually have this live and then work from there. You know what I mean? Because we want to have this live as soon as possible. So then if you guys were to do any contributions, you also would see these contributions live, and it is very likely that this very first version of the product will be for free, basically. Exodus is saying, not good idea to write TLD names that aren't registered in the chat. What do you mean? It doesn't work? If it doesn't work, just type the name and then put dot by literally typing DOT. Arakita is asking, can you describe SaaS in short? I didn't see the full video from last. Yeah, it's basically an analytics web tool, basically. Okay. Okay, people are coming with names. Panelize.com. Fanalytics. Dude, that looks like a pharmaceutical product. Panalytics. Oh, do you think Panalytics wouldn't be registered? I think it might be registered, though. Let me check. I think it might be registered. Panalytics.com. Very likely, I would say. It's a very cool name, so it's very likely to be registered. Oh my god, is it available? It's available. We got a domain. Oh my god. People, don't buy this domain, okay? I'm gonna literally buy this domain. By the end of the stream, we're going to get this domain. I cannot believe that you did come up with such a cool name already. Oh my god. Panalytics is actually a very cool name, man. Oh my god. I'm thinking, though. I'm thinking, like... Yeah, exactly. Okay. Interesting. Interesting. Do you think that is any actually a problem, like a typo or anything, by not having the epsilon thing, like not having an epsilon right here? Do you think that is a typo, or what do you think about that? Okay, Arthur just sent, well, exactly, just mentioned what I just said, basically. That probably would make more sense, this, but with an epsilon right here. Which is taken. This one is taken, though. Yeah, there is a typo, right? But this one is taken, though, so I don't know anymore. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys play on the words in your side while I actually develop this all together, okay? Bonkers, thank you so much for the subscriptions, dude. By the way, I just got my first Twitch payout, and, you know, I cannot complain. You guys are just awesome. Thank you so much, man. Yeah, the only problem, I'm gonna tell you something. The reason why sometimes I come up with names like past or you know, pan-PHP or something like that is that when people Google like pan-PHP, for example, they will immediately end up on my project. Like, it's literally impossible not end up on my project if they search for pan-PHP. And if they were searching for something like you guys have suggested, like Panalytics, for example, there is some likelihood that it will end up seeing something else. So we need to think a little bit, like, come up with a unique name, even if it doesn't have anything to do with analytics, you know what I mean? Bonkers, I really appreciate your support, dude. Thank you so much, man. Like, sometimes, you know, like Pinkery, for example, Pinkery.com, it doesn't have to do anything about whatever is providing, you know, and the name is awesome. Like, Pinkery is a badass name. I don't know what you guys think, but Pinkery is a badass name. You know what I mean? And it doesn't have to do anything about what the project is actually offering. You know, it's literally a 3-link or a 1-link platform or a 1-link social media. So, you know, it can be some sort of unique name that doesn't even exist on the dictionary. You know, the most important thing is that if people were to Google my tool or to search for my tool, like on YouTube, they will. The first suggestion would be my software, okay? All right, so we don't have a name yet, so I'm gonna let you guys think a little bit, brainstorm, and come up with a name tomorrow so we can move the project over there, and you can actually create this on Laravel Cloud. But meanwhile, we are going to have this project on project-SaaS on my own organization. So far, I have added the skeleton, and I feel like we definitely want to focus on the back end of this project, making sure like that the project is actually possible. You know, it's reliable and will actually work. We'll work with big information in our end. And once we have like, you know, a proof of concept, potentially already live with some simple UI, we can potentially start thinking on the front end and how we are going to build that front end. Because if I actually get motivated by this project, there is a likelihood that we are going to hire a designer to come up with some pages. And who knows, maybe the designer is one of you, which is interested to, you know, to contribute with some designs to this project. I've already used this license, call it, where is it? There you go. I already put in place this license, call it GNU Affero General Public License. So you cannot exactly, you can see the project, you know what I mean? You can in everything, but you cannot exactly just rip off my SaaS basically. Okay, you cannot rip off this SaaS and start selling it, just, you know what I mean? So it's literally intended to, just to, it's open source code, but it cannot be ripped off to a different product basically. Okay, it's the same license as pinkwitty.com at the moment. If any of you understands about licenses, let me know what you think about this license. If you think that this license is actually a good case or a good use case for this. I like the name Peter Pan, by the way. Peter Pan is an amazing name. Peter Pan is actually a fun one. I could have used it, that for sure. Good evening, man. How you doing? Welcome to the live stream. Nice to see you, man. The only reason why I wouldn't put the PHP name on a domain is that because the project is not actually, connected to PHP at all. It's just a simple analytics tool that would just work. So I don't feel it would be a good way to literally, have this under the PHP. Yeah, if any of you really understands licenses, let me know, like, if this license is actually a good one to use here. So basically, I want to make sure that the code is free. Like the code, if you go to the code, you can see how it's built, and potentially, learn a little bit with the code, but you cannot like rip off this product and just start selling it privately. And you know what I mean? So let me know what you think about this license, okay? But let's start getting some work done. We didn't code yet yesterday, so I want to code today for sure. So what I want to say before that, yeah, I want to say that you guys can. I'm literally growing on TikTok, so I'm gonna display here all my socials for those who don't know me. You guys can find more about me on these socials. I'm on YouTube, as you may know. I'm on TikTok as well, and on X. So I'm going to post here all my socials so you guys can have access as well. And something I want to say about this is I published a new YouTube video today, by the way. Okay, it's called Advanced PHP Generics Explain It. It's literally an highlight of 2 streams ago, if I'm not mistaken, where I have explained it. How exactly can you build generic types using PHP? A lot of people think that PHP doesn't have generics. It does have generics, and they are fucking awesome, okay? And you can do generics using PHP and starting implementing it today using PHP stand, which is the equivalent of TypeScript and JavaScript, okay? So if you haven't watched this video, I'm gonna send you, but it's literally trending already on my channel at least. And I'm very happy about the result of this video, okay? So I'm going to publish here if you guys want to check it out, okay? There is some comments. Interesting, some of these comments are regarding the naming of the... how we name some of these generics. For example, typically I use the T item as a suffix for my generic type, and some people use T and key, for example, a 1-letter generic, which is a good approach overall. It's just I'm used to use T item or T key, which is a type of the key, type of item, just speaks better for me, okay? But yeah, this video is out. I have videos every single day at 1 p.m. okay? All right, that being said, we reached 10,000 subscribers on YouTube. Okay, so I want claps for me. I'm super happy about this number, by the way. I think it's just, I was not expecting just to go to 10,000 subscribers like so fast. And I was not expecting as well to, to have so much support from you all. So thank you so much, man. You guys are just unbelievably awesome, by the way, okay? Thank you so much, man. You guys are awesome. Arthur, thank you. I really appreciate it. Charlie Boy, thank you so much. And Diabella as well. And Jonas. Thank you, Emily Dev. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. But yeah, 10,000 subscribers and we keep growing. Let's see how it goes. We know it has been a little bit, fun, but also highlighting a little bit. Like I have learned a lot about YouTube videos, you know what I mean? like how to actually please people, how to make sure that people don't get deceived by the video. Like, for example, if you have a video with a thumbnail that it's just you are overreacting a little bit on the thumbnail and people get disappointed with the actual video behind the scenes, you know, that will lead to people not actually liking the video and want to come back. So I always balance, for example, the thumbnail with the content of the video, you know. So anyways, I think I'm doing a great job. I'm happy about the results so far, and that's it on YouTube. What else I want to say? I think that's it. I think that's it, and we are going to actually start coding this deal, okay? So Project SAS is literally already pushed to GitHub. It will be transferred tomorrow to a domain that you guys will choose at some point. I see some domains already. Can you guys put those domains somewhere? I'm gonna put here an issue. Call it domain suggestions. Otherwise, I will lose those suggestions, okay? Domain suggestions from stream, okay? I'm gonna create an issue, send this issue so you guys can put those names on this issue, by the way, okay? So we can keep track, you know, your ideas, and people can put thumbs up, thumbs down, and things like that, okay? I feel like just put on the issue, because at Discord, I don't think everyone is there, even though, you know, you can access my Discord channel by doing this. But yeah. All right, so we have this thing. Oh, I like this one, though. Panalytics is really a good one. So we have this over here. Let's move forward. Let's actually start creating this deal, okay? Let's move to our PHP Storm. Okay, we have a fresh Laravel project. What do I want to do? Obviously, we are going to build this stuff over time, so let's set up some tooling here to get started. This is a fresh Laravel app. We don't have anything whatsoever, okay? So let's start by like literally starting by the beginning, which is set up some tooling and some composer testing on this thing. Do we have past PHP to begin with? I think we do. Yeah, we have past PHP set up and ready to go. So let's start by going to our composer.json and just, you know, clean up a little bit our composer.json regarding the testing field at least. So I want to go all the way down to the script section and add our testing section, okay? Let's add here our testing section. And the first one will be test unit for sure, which will execute our unit tests, which will be vendor bin. I don't think I even need a vendor bin, but let's see how it goes. Let's put test, and let's run this on parallel for sure, okay? And if I run composer test unit, I should be ready to go. There we go, running my test suite on parallel. I want to make sure as well that my PHP unit is using DB connection, SQLite in memory. I don't really know why Laravel doesn't have this thing uncommented by default. I typically, when I'm using SQLite, which is very likely to be used all over the place in this project, I always use SQLite in memory. I mean, I don't know what you guys think, but this is what I think. I typically use SQLite in memory literally all the time. John Nasiri, thank you so much for the subscribing using Prime on my channel. I really appreciate your support, dude. Thank you so much. A great question from Linus Dev. What is the difference between vendor bin past and PHP artisan test? So if you have past installed, there is no actually difference between those two commands. However, if you use PHP unit, you might want to have access to some of the past features, and you can do that by using PHP artisan test. One really cool example is coverage. So if you want to use coverage while using PHP unit, but being displayed on the terminal in the same way that happens with past, you can type PHP artisan test -- coverage, for example. Another example is parallel testing, which comes by default with PHP artisan test. You just type PHP artisan test -- parallel, and that runs your test suite in parallel, okay? Gabriel B. Dula, thank you so much for the subscription through Prime. I really appreciate your support. Today's you guys are on fire. I really appreciate that. Thank you, man. Claudio, welcome to the stream, dude. Nice to see you. Yeah, basically the refresh database is by default, but not an in-memory one, which is a little bit confusing, you know? Great way to lose your live DB data. So I actually never use production credentials locally. Okay, so if you guys go to my .env locally, I never set up any DB credential on my local .env. okay? And you want to ensure that also that never happens in your side, because if you don't use any credentials, production credentials locally, nothing will ever happen. Like literally, you can do whatever you want with your test suite, with your actual code, nothing will ever happen, okay? So I've seen people complaining like, oh, I just have run refresh database locally using the DB production and I just lost all my data. Like, why would you use your DB credentials locally? You know what I mean? Josh always making some jokes. And yeah, if you need actual data, by the way, it's a question from you. Just use some seeders, which I don't typically use seeders either. By the way, I don't usually use seeders as well. Okay. Okay, so we're working on getting our our unit test set up, which is done. The next step is getting our type testing set up as well. So let's type here, test types. And also have, PHP stem running. We have talked a bunch about PHP stem recently, and how important PHP stem is. And you guys already know, I'm a big fan of PHP stem, and today we're using PHP stem as well. Let's type composer require /stem to have /stem installed in this project, in --dev. This will install /stem 3, which comes with PHP stem 2. Let's start composer bump. And let's also go to the /stem project to see, how exactly /stem should be configured. So let's go here, type /stem, and just literally copy paste some of this. Let's copy this stuff. And create this php stem.neon. Like that, really easy, real simple. Bam, bam, boom. Level tab. Let's use level max. Let's literally go, into the roof with this stuff. Josh Series saying I need to learn about PHP stem and /stem. So I did, literally my last 2 videos, Josh, are really about how important PHP stem is and how can you get started. So just check my my last 2 videos. The second one about generics is a little bit more advanced, so typically you wouldn't have to do that, but the video I've done 2 days ago, it's about how you require PHP stem, and you probably will learn a little bit about that. Okay. Constantine is saying install pack. Oh yeah, baby, that's exactly what I will do right now. So let's install pack. Now we have pack PHP to check, the typos in our project. Let's make sure PHP stem is done as well. So run PHP stem, it's literally passing as expected, which is quite cool. And if I type composer test types, I should have this running as well. And finally, something I really want is combine all of these scripts together using a test single one and running everything all together. So if I type composer test, I should run the entire thing. Now, something we don't want to forget is literally using coverage at level max. So let's type coverage exactly 100%, which I don't think it will pass for now. So because we don't have any tests yet. So I'm going to do that, but a little bit later probably. Okay. Let's type composer test to run our entire test suite, and it's passing as expected, meaning that the next step is making sure we have also Pint running on this project. This will be, test style. And this will call Pint with --test, because we don't actually want Pint to, change our code if we are testing that style. And I'm going to run here just below under tests, this deal right here. And finally, I still want to command to literally lint my project with Pint, which I'm going to call lint. Okay. I probably want to call this test lint instead. There we go. All right, this should run pretty much all of them if I type composer test. So let's type composer test and see how it goes. We need to install Reactor PHP as well. I just love the fact that you guys are literally saying, let's install Reactor, let's install pack PHP, don't forget /stem. You guys are getting in the mood. And I saw a comment on Twitter of someone saying, I have seen Nuno Maduro's live streams, and since then I have like Reactor, PHP Stan, everything installed in my project, and you know, I just love that feedback. You know, it really tells me that I'm not wasting my time literally, you know, doing these live streams, and I'm probably making, you know, other people sleep well on weekends, because typically when you have a strong test suite, what allows you to do is that you can even ship sometimes on Fridays and be reinsured that at least you have all these buddies, you know, Past PHP, PHP Stan, Reactor PHP, Pack, and everything, making sure that nothing happens, okay? And Vocian is saying that Lara Stan is a default now. Oh my god, so cool to see that. I really appreciate your feedback, man. Constantine, absolutely, we are going to install Reactor. Yeah, just to recap, you know, if you just arrived, my name is Nuno Maduro, PHP and Laravel developer, and we are building a SaaS all together. That SaaS will be an analytics product, and I feel like the next live streams will be splitted by a couple of different ideas, okay? The first one will be, you know, set up the skeleton, which is something I always like to do from scratch. Don't ask me why, but I just get, you know, pumped up about it. So we're going to set up the skeleton. And then we're going to set up the domain. This will be basically not the actual domain, you know, I'm talking about, you know, the database structure, potentially some Laravel models, very likely to create already the actions that are going to create these analytics and enumerations and everything. And once we have this, we're going to set up some simple UI, okay? Simple UI. I'm talking about literally an unstyled UI, very likely to already use React already in TypeScript, but will be super unstyled. And then a designer, or actually with someone with real, you know, with real taste for the UI will come up, and we are going to implement that design in our project, okay? Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. You guys know on this live stream, we are super open about our weaknesses, you know? We're open about the things we know, the things we don't know. I feel like probably the step number 4 will be the one that will be not stuck, but moving slowly, you know? Converting a design from Figma to Tailwind CSS is something that I do, but I'm not as fast as someone like Jason Baggs. Do you guys know this dude, for example, Jason Baggs? Jason Baggs is like literally a developer at Laravel who have worked, I think, on a core team of Livewire. And the dude is literally just, when he's converting Figmas to Tailwind CSS, it's just another level, man. You know what I mean? It's truly another level. So I feel like, you know, this is probably the one of the steps that will take a little bit more time for me. But you know, I get it done, that's for sure. So today we are working on set up the skeleton, really make sure that we have the perfect, you know, the perfect environment. Everything is really cool, you know, and we have this Laravel super well set up application, okay? And yeah, Duka-chan, we are definitely going to see actions more in depth, and I feel like this will be the first real application I'm going to develop on stream using actions. So I'm using actions on Laravel Cloud, but you know, I want to make sure that here I explain actions to you all on the perfect way, using events and everything. I think it will be fun. Thank you for the feedback, Arthur. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, dude. Oh boy. Fabio Cesarali is asking me from TikTok, what is wrong with using DB credentials locally? So again, that is, if you use like local DB credentials locally, it's okay, but do not ever use production DB credentials locally, basically, because if you have something like, let's see, on Laravel, for example, it's very common, for example, that your test suite implement this trait called refresh database, which will effectively wipe the database that you have connected into your .env. So you want to make sure that, you know, if you were to use production DB credentials here, it would effectively wipe that database. So you want to make sure that you don't have any problems at all, and nothing will ever happen with your DB production because of you. So simply don't use production credentials locally. You know what I mean? Thank you, Zeno. I'm also excited to see, you know, to also build this from scratch, man. Golvera is asking me what are we going to use to test the front end. That's a great question. So, you know, in the past I've used things like Laravel Dusk, which is literally, you know, browser testing. potentially. And for sure, I want to set up some Sentry logs, which is something really useful. Like Sentry, I don't know if you guys know Sentry, but Sentry have this error tracking system that allows me to put this on the front end. And literally, if a customer, for example, end up seeing like an error exception on JavaScript, it will be reported back to Sentry, which is super useful. Yasin is asking me if I use any design tools in order to modelize a little bit and the database and resources. I typically don't, dude. I typically just go all in and start creating the models, thinking a little bit, and then if there is any resource that potentially makes sense in the middle, I will just adjust the code real quick. It just takes more time to design something using an iPad than actually coding things. That's at least in my opinion. Yeah, Sentry, I mean, I'm a big, that's again, Sentry should be my sponsor because I absolutely love their product, by the way. I'm using Sentry all over the place already. Linus Dev is asking me how we are going to send emails. I'm probably using Spassy is Mail Coach, I think. I love Mail Coach. It's a good project, by the way. Okay, so while we are here, I'm going to actually, use the refresh database trait real quick on this pass.php. We should still have test suite passing as expected. And the next step is now install pack.php, which is a project we have developed on stream. Isn't this exciting times? Literally, we have developed all together pack.php, and now we're installing pack.php on this project, on the real project. Like, how cool this is. Oh my god. Let's install this with -- flag so we can actually move this to the -- flag -- dev, apologize. And you guys, as you guys may well know, pack.php is not super stable yet. It will have some false positives, but we have made great work so far. So I'm going to move the window all the way top, and if I'm going to run vendor bin pack to literally start the project from scratch. And something we have done, me and Konstantin, is that on the very first run, if you haven't provided the flag -- init, we are going to init the configuration file for you. Okay, and what this does is literally creating our pack.json file, which will have the preset Laravel, and will ignore a bunch of words that are common to Laravel, like fillable and things like that. Yasmil is asking me if I can see the X comments. Yes, I do. I can see them. Yes. Thanks for asking. Yes, we are going to build an API on this project, that's for sure. And it's likely that we're going to have to serve that API on Edge. Because let's assume, for example, we have this project hosted on US. If someone is like sending analytics from Europe, it probably won't be that fast. So we need to think a way of actually having this on Laravel Cloud and, being able to serve this stuff on the edge. You know what I mean? So people will have to, send analytics to their first closest server we have this application being served on. Okay. So someone is asking me why did I have used the -- dev. So in case you don't know, a composer, which is the package manager of PHP, allows you to have two types of dependencies. This is very common, by the way, in every single language you may work with. Allows you to have production dependencies and local dependencies. So if I run composer install, we'll install basically both production ones and dev ones. But if I run this with no dev, I think we'll install only the production ones, which is something we always use in our production CI environment. Okay. With MX5, does your ears not sweat? No, they don't. Just normal. Oh, great question. Someone is asking on the chat, what does it mean to serve something on the edge? Okay, that's a good question, by the way. Probably some of you don't know. Okay, so sometimes when I mean by the edge, what I actually meant, by the way, is that let's assume we host this on, let's say like US East 1, for example, okay? Let's host this on US East 1. And if a customer is potentially, visiting through the browser, our first customer, let's say Laravel.com, and is visiting this website from France, for example, okay? So we don't want the analytics to travel from all the way from France to US East 1. We probably want this analytics to be sent to a most closed region, which potentially could be EU Central 1, for example. So potentially what this will mean, or what exactly this means, is that we are going to have to host this application in multiple regions on Laravel Cloud, something like US East 1, but also EU Central 1, but also, you know, potentially somewhere in Asia or whatever, you know what I mean? So when I say on the edge, I mean like it will have to be close to the customer or where the customer is sending analytics from. That's what I meant, by the way, okay? Oh, it's definitely the last thing I will think about, by the way. That will be definitely the last thing I will think about, that's for sure. David Matias is asking me if I set up any local containers. So I don't use Docker, actually. I'm using this thing called Laravel Herd, which is, you know, it's the fastest way to get some PHP and Laravel development locally. And I use like the services that I want to use. I just come here to services and I select, you know, if I want MySQL, if I want Redis, which version I want, and everything. It really just works. One thing that people don't really understand, especially if they haven't seen Laravel yet, is that Laravel contains like drivers, cache drivers for pretty much everything. So even if I were to use like databases caching locally, I could use Redis, you know, Redis on my cloud platform because the API is the same. You know what I mean? You're welcome, David. Thanks for asking, by the way. Okay, let's continue to move forward. So we have set up the skeleton. We are continuing to set up the skeleton, and we have ran pack.php for the first time. Let's run pack.php again and to see how it goes. I don't expect to see any problems, but let's see how it goes. And no misspellings found, by the way, which is pretty cool. So we can now move pack.php into our composer.json real quick. I'm gonna come here and type something that looks like the following: test typos. And just call pack. Oh, it already detected that we actually want to use pack, which is very interesting. And then I can also move this to my test suite, and I'm going to call this test typos. Something funny about pack is that literally GitHub Copilot was able to infer that here I want pack. So probably by going to my composer.json, yeah, he saw that I have this dependency on my composer.json, which is kind of funny. Oh my god, I'm looking at this composer.json like to see which one of these things I have been involved with, and let's just make the math real quick. I have built past.php, I have built past.php as plugin for Laravel, I have developed pack.php, I have developed collision, I have developed Laravel Pint, I have developed Larastan, and I have part of Laravel framework. Oh my god, I need to do something with my life, man. Oh my god, man. What the hell am I even doing? Oh my god, isn't this hilarious, man? Oh my god. No, it's not 100%. Let's be realistic, okay? Not 100%. Obviously, you know, I have contributed a little bit to the Laravel framework, but definitely not all. I have contributed to Larastan. Currently, it's being maintained by Ken Vural, but the early beginnings was only me, that's for sure. Oh, I also have done Laravel Pale. That was full me, by the way. Laravel Pale was full me. Laravel Pint was full me, but obviously the tool being used behind the scenes is PHP-CS Fixer, which I haven't contributed yet. Collision is full me as well. Pack is me. Constantine is in you all as well. Past is full me, that's for sure. Composer required -- no. Oh my god. Marcel Posiot, welcome to the stream, dude. Nice to see you. I haven't yet contributed to the core PHP because I don't know that much C or anything really, so I couldn't do anything. Thomas is asking me, how do you manage this with SQLite? I'm very likely to use SQLite for everything, okay? So I'm going to use SQLite for caching, SQLite for sessions, SQLite for queue jobs. I'm going to use SQLite for the database itself. Now, there is something I want to try on this project, which I haven't tried yet. okay, which is the possibility of giving an SQLite database to each one of my customers, okay? This is something that we're going to try out over time, which is literally, I've seen an article somewhere of someone doing this. I think it was through Blue Sky, okay? But my goal is literally try to come up with a story where SQLite will be something like this, you know? SQLite user DB1, SQLite, you know what I mean? Something like this. So potentially people, when they go through the dashboard, the DB connection of the database will be resolved based on the organization or team the user belongs to. Have you guys seen anything like this before? Because this will effectively solve a problem that I have on Pinkery, which is the database is growing, you know what I mean? But if I have like a database per customer, I don't think any customer will affect the other customer, okay? Raisin NNTV is asking me, how do you maintain all those packages? You know, there is packages which have been handed over to other people or are maintained by other people. Like, for example, let's think. So obviously Larastan is being maintained by Ken Vural at the moment. Pint is maintained by the community at the moment. What else? Past PHP is almost feature complete. I would be surprised to see any new feature for Past 4. And Pack PHP has been maintained by the community as well. So we're chilling, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking, Yakira. Literally DB isolation per client. That's something I was thinking, okay? Like literally having a DB per client and that's it. Multi-DB, multi-tenancy. Yeah. I need to think a little bit how I will do that because I haven't seen this in a Laravel sphere, basically. But I would love to have something like this. Oh, Pick and Flow is saying I have done a DB per client on my last job and it worked well. Have you done that like on Laravel itself? If yes, how did you actually solve the problem where you know, you have potentially have to resolve the DB connection depending of who is visiting the website, because there is other stuff to think about, like queue jobs, for example, are going to be on its own DB, or each queue job or each client, you know what I mean? We need to think a little bit about this. All right, so what have we done so far? Obviously, we can run a composer test to run the entire thing, which will run at the moment pack, past, pint, PHP stan, and we are chilling. What else is missing? Rector PHP, of course. We talked about it, right? We talked about it last streams and how important is Rector PHP. I think we can simplify this a little bit. Let's just do not pass an array format and keep it simple just like this, okay? There we go. There we go. We can also simplify this last one a little bit. This one is missing a to-do. We need to literally go to 100% code coverage. But obviously, I want to, you know, Rector PHP. So let's go and clear the terminal and type composer require Rector PHP or Rector/Rector, I think. Perhaps. Yes, Rector/Rector, and that's it. Interesting one. Marcel Posiot is saying something funny, which is, if you're thinking about SQLite per client, you may have to think about this multiple server strategy, because if you are thinking about serving on the edge, it might be complicated. So Marcel, the way I was thinking a little bit about this is that on the edge, like on these servers, which are a little bit separated through the planet, I'm going to have literally only queue jobs a little bit, you know what I mean? So if you were to send a specific payload with analytics, that will dispatch a queue job, and the queue job will be consumed in only one region, you know what I mean? That's kind of the way I was thinking, but you know what I mean? Which is kind of the approach I have seen so far with stuff like this, I'm going to be honest, you know what I mean? Matthews is saying use RabbitMQ. Laravel doesn't support the RabbitMQ. It does support SQS though. So yeah, Rector. How do I start? Oh my god. Okay, let me change the music here. I don't know if you guys can hear the music, but here is getting a little bit too dark for me. Let's move here to some old school pop potentially. Oh, some lowly pop, yeah. Lo-fi pop. You can't hear any music? All right, it's fine. If you can't hear any music, let's not hear music on this live stream to see how it goes. So PHP stan, obviously, let's continue to install Reactor PHP. We need to obviously start by typing something like vendor bin Reactor. Do they have any sort of thing that starts the configuration? They don't. But I do know how to configure Reactor. Typically, I need to go and type a new file with the name Reactor PHP, just like that. And inside, I know that I have to configure Reactor, which probably will steal some code snippet somewhere. Let's go into our Safari real quick. And where have we used recently Reactor PHP? Probably on Pinkery I'm using it, so I can just go to pinkery.com. Yeah, pinkery.com. Let's go here and just steal a little bit the way we are using Reactor PHP real quick from this project. There we go. I'm gonna copy this entire thing. Obviously, we are using PHP 8.4 on this new project already. I'm gonna copy this entire thing, declare strict types on top, new Reactor configuration, and I want to configure to check the app folder, the bootstrap folder, the configuration folder. I'm going to remove this for now. Database in public and skip this entire thing. And finally, improve the dev code, code quality, type declarations, privatization, early return, and strict booleans. All right. What happens if I run vendor bin Reactor? Do I want to run this right now? Yeah, I want to run this with the flag -- dry run to see what exactly Reactor will do on this project at the moment, okay? So dry run. Let's do this for now. Marcel Posiot, I have a question for you. So if you guys don't know, Marcel Posiot is the he have built this project called Laravel Herd, which is what we are using locally at the moment to serve our application. And as a feedback, I want to have Marcel on this live stream one day to literally explain some of the hidden gems of this project, like how exactly it's built, but also sometimes, to teach me something that I'm not using yet. Okay. But regarding this project, Marcel, do you know, for any chance, why do I have at the moment this new line? What is it? You see this module herd is already being loaded by unknown on line 0. I'm kind of seeing this message sometimes, and I don't know where it comes from. Okay, Marcel is saying that this is literally an extension from herd, which is activated twice. It might be that, yes. If I type herd ini, will open the file. Oh. Okay, let me know if I can do that. Yeah, I can. Okay. Which line I have twice, by the way? Yes, we are going to use GitHub Actions to run this, all this stuff locally. That's for sure. All right, so what exactly herd I've done so far? So I can see that Reactor PHP have added some typings all over the place, which is good. We also, you want to have your PHP code as most strict as possible. And I feel like with Reactor PHP is really making a good job here. By adding some of the missing types we didn't have in our project, which we obviously want this by default. I feel like I agree with most, if not everything. So what I can do here is type vendor bin Reactor, and to simply actually apply those changes on my project. And because we now have a test suite, we can just run a test suite and everything should really just work as expected. I feel I can remove this potentially, but I'm not really sure. I'm gonna keep it for now. So what I can do is go to my compose.json, and finally I also add Reactor to this project. So let's type here refactor or refactor and call Reactor. And also have test refactor with a -- run flag, and finally add this to my test script entirely. So typically I would expect that if I type composer test, I'm running the entire thing. Once I'm done with actually writing this composer test, I'm going to talk a little bit about GitHub Actions, because it's kind of my next step, is making sure I have a CI running and testing this project, okay? I want to make sure I have 100% code coverage before doing that. So what happens if I write vendor bean test -- coverage, for example, at the moment? So I have my user model not being tested. You guys know that I absolutely love to have 100% code coverage. And something I always do is test the toArray method on my models. And we go with this approach, which I have talked multiple times already on my live streams, that typically I have my unit folder, which mirrors entirely all my project in terms of folders. And then I have my feature folder, which typically mirrors my HTTP layer in terms of either HTTP verbs or controllers themselves. We are going to see multiple examples of this across this project, and everything will be live stream and open source. So you guys can come back, go forward, you can see everything basically, okay? So what I will do here is create a user test real quick to have some tests on this project. I'm going to start by typing something really simple, which is test toArray. And again, we talked as well multiple times how important it is to test this toArray method. Allows us to test multiple things really. What fields should be eaten, what fields are being added to the database, what fields, are added but potentially in the incorrect order. So you guys know how important this toArray method is. If you have any questions so far regarding this method, let me know, okay? But what I will do here is type something that looks like this. User, I'm going to call the method factory and call the create method real quick. And I want to make sure I have a fresh instance from the database. You always want to make sure you have a fresh instance if you are testing stuff like the toArray, because if you don't do this, what we'll end up with is with the attributes that come from the factory and not the attributes that come from the database, okay? So I always call this refresh real quick. And finally, once I have the user, what I want to test is that, the array keys of my user toArray are exactly these ones. And again, we talked about this, like, for example, I do not expect to see the password here because typically the password should be hidden. So this test should actually fail, by the way. Let's run vendor bean pass and see how it goes. And it's literally failing because my facade root hasn't been set. Typically, this means that I need to include the test kit, but also the refresh database on my unit folder. So let's do this with past PHP, run my test suite once again. And it's literally complaining that the password is not on the toArray method, meaning that if I go to app, models, user, I should see the password field on the hidden property of my user, okay? Which is kind of expected, exactly what I expected, okay? Let's come back into our user test and remove the password, the token, and I think that's it. Possibly that's it, yeah. There we go. And if I run vendor bean pass -- coverage, I should see close or either close to 100%, and I see literally 100% as you guys can see. Meaning that now that I have 100% code coverage, I can potentially type pint to make sure our code is styled. I can type rector to make sure our code is fully refactored. But also, I can go to my composer.json and doing one of the most important things you want to do when you start a new project, which is type coverage exactly 100%. Okay? So if I run this entire test suite, I expect to see everything just passing and running as expected. Matheus is making me a great question, which is, shouldn't the feature folder be the only one interacting with the database? Typically, unit testing does not touch the database at all. So I'm going to tell you something. There is different definitions regarding what is unit testing, what is feature testing, what is integration testing, what is smoke testing. I actually have a great video on YouTube about this topic. So let's go here into my YouTube channel, and I have this YouTube video under call it smoke test, which is very interesting and really covers this topic real quick. Let's go here. This is the powerful thing about writing tests. I just made like a huge refactor on my code, so I could literally tell you that your homepage, so start with smoke, I would invite you to do testing that you probably should care about. In the highest one is called it smoke test. This is if I create in different places. So for example, here single edge case of your application. Yeah, just something The video is a little bit, I hate music on videos. Anyways, what the video is saying is that typically I have 3 or 4 layers of testing, meaning that the first one is called smoke testing, or, you know, at high level, almost bronzer testing, which the only thing it ensures is that my system is actually okay, answering with 200 status code almost on the most visited web pages. But then I will have integration testing, which typically starts at 2 levels, either HTTP or console or queue jobs, and we'll kind of test the entire process entirely, okay? So for example, if I start a new article, for example, I want to make sure that, you know, the article got created in the database. I want to make sure that I have all the information on the backend, it got created correctly and everything. But then I will also have this unit test where I will test these small edge cases on my system. Like for example, if you have a queue job that does enormous things, you want to have that at unit level so you can test every single possible edge case of that unit test of that unit job. You know what I mean? But just to say that on my unit tests folder, typically I do interact with the database. The only thing I'm doing literally is ensuring that if I'm testing a particular class, I want to make sure that class is doing everything it should. You know, if the class is interacting with cache, for example, I'm going to literally check if the cache have those keys. You know what I mean? João, thank you for saying nice streams. I really appreciate, dude. You're saying something like substitute Xdebug with pcove. I have never used pcove. Do you guys have any feedback on that? I don't have any, you know, I don't have any feedback. DR is saying, is that PHP Storm? Yes, this is PHP Storm at the moment. I'm literally a big fan of PHP Storm. I'm using the Mockata theme. Let me show you that real quick, by the way. I'm going to move here into the settings of my PHP Storm real quick and show you the theme I'm using at the moment. It's called do you guys know this one, by the way? It's called Catapuccin Mocha. Do you guys know this theme? It's actually pretty cool. John is saying use it. Yes, Arthur is saying I use it too. Yeah, it's an amazing theme. I love it. Personally, I love this theme. And you know, a big fan of this theme. I'm also using, what else am I using on this? I'm using also as well like the icons that come with this theme, which makes like these very cool things. For example, you can see this .env being styled with this icon. I'm also using this Git icon right here. This artisan Laravel icon, which I didn't know, which is kind of cool, I must be honest. Thank you, Mateus, for saying that sounds good. But yeah, typically my unit tests, they do interact with the database. Like, why not? You know what I mean? I don't care what the books say, you know? Like, this is hard to understand, but typically, you know, the information that comes on the books, it's not based on real world projects. And even if they do, even if they are thinking that everyone is building like the next Facebook. You know what I mean? So you kind of want to, you know, keep it simple and kind of use the tools in your favor. Yeah, I know. Every single live stream I say cool stuff about PHP Storm because I truly love PHP Storm. I must be honest with you, you know. All right, we have Pint for styling, we have Rector for refactoring, we have Pack for typos, we have Pint for linking, we have Pass for unit, we have PHP stand for types, we have everything we need. I'm missing something here. No, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, it is good. Okay. By the way, we are going to do this job right here with JavaScript as well. Okay, so at some point we are going to, you know, have to do this job we are doing with our React front end. So we are going to have to install ESLint. We are going to have to install TypeScript. We are going to have to configure these entire things. Now, obviously, if we start with a starter kit, because my goal is actually wait a little bit for Laravel 11 on the front end at least to start with the starter kit that comes with Laravel 11. I think you guys are going to love that, by the way. So potentially you can use some of that to go a little bit faster. You know what I mean? Oh, by the way, someone just made a question about stress testing. Did you guys know that actually Past PHP comes with stress testing? I'm going to show you. This is actually mind-blowing, okay? So first of all, to answer your question, I do indeed stress test my application. So I want to make sure that my applications are literally, answered as fast as I want. Obviously, there is a lot of things to consider when you are stress testing. One of them being the region where you're testing from. But literally, PastPHP comes with this tool, call it Stressless. Now, the Stressless naming comes from being a club that I used to go when I was young. Yeah, it was called Stressless. So to get started with Stressless, the only thing you have to do is type composer require pastphp /past plugin Stressless. Okay, you literally type this and you say yes. This will require a single package, and then if I remember correctly, you can type something like vendor bin past stress, and you provide the domain you wish to stress. Let's, for example, stress test pastphp.com, and if I type yes, the very first run we set upping the things, and as you can see, is literally now stress testing pastphp, and I can see a lot of things already. The name is my name is literally on top, but let's try to do this. There we go. So stress testing pastphp.com, I can see the latency from this region. I am at the moment, so we're obviously traveling to New York, but typically we can see all of that information right there on the console. So here we have, the latency for 5 seconds. Okay, the test duration was literally 5 seconds, one test concurrency. So we're literally, sequentially issuing requests one after each other. We're waiting for the response before issuing a new one. And I can see that, I have an average of 4 requests per second, which means 24 requests. And I also have a success rate of 100%, meaning that my server was able to answer successfully 100% of the times. And I also have, the DNS, the IP address that answers to that given domain. I also have the request duration, which is, again, within 150 milliseconds, apologize. And what else do I have? I have the time to the first byte, which included 98% of the time this thing took. In the download was actually only 2%. So I know this is literally stress testing, and it's built in on PastPHP. That's why I tell you guys, PastPHP is the most complete testing framework in the world. Like, there is no other testing framework as complete as PastPHP today. Yes, and I can do other stuff, like I can literally come here and type vendor bin past stress pastphp, and I can do concurrency, for example, 5 duration. Let's do duration of 10, for example, and this was literally 5. This time we'll issue 5 parallel concurrent requests at the same time and wait for the response, and will be way more realistic scenario. And as you can see, this is literally hosted on Laravel Cloud. That's why probably it's just working great. You know what I mean? Fide Garabello, thank you so much for the subscription through Prime. By the way, if you don't know me, my name is Nuno Maduro, PHP and Laravel developer. I live what I do, and I'm streaming every single day at 9 p.m. on Twitch and YouTube. Give me a follow if you want to support my work. Thank you, man. Pick and Flow is just saying it's just calling the site. Yeah, you don't even need to have tests. Yeah, you don't actually need to have tests to have this, So basically, you can issue this from the CI. However, you can literally have. We were talking about testing and how many folders you need to have, but you can literally have a folder called stress testing potentially. And within this folder, you can have a file with a name, for example, duration.test. And you can type things like blah, blah, blah. And then you can type, I think, is stress. There we go, stress, pastphp.com. And then, if I'm not mistaken, let's do this for now. More actions. There we go, import function, and I can literally do this. Concurrently 10, and use a duration, for example, of 10 seconds, and get the home page, get the result from this, and then I can do assertions on this, like expect seconds and whatever, you know what I mean? Thank you, thank you. Yeah, this is like it's an entire topic. Okay, I'm gonna send you the documentation about this plugin, by the way, so you guys can check this out later if you want to. So pastphp.com, get started, and let's go here to stress testing. There we go. Okay, this is literally stress testing on past PHP, but it is way more like test coverage, type coverage, mutation testing. Now we're talking about this, we also want type coverage real quick, so let's do that. Pick and Flow, thank you so much for the 100 bits, and you are saying pass for the win. All right, let's talk about type coverage real quick. If you guys don't know, type coverage is this past feature which allows you to basically ensure that your code is fully typed. And the only thing you have to do is go to your terminal and type composer require past PHP past plugin type coverage, okay? --dev, obviously. This will install the necessary packages, and then I typically should be able to type vendor_bin pass -- type coverage. And what this will do is literally ensure that your code is fully typed. So if you were to have, for example, a missing return type, let's, for example, remove this return type right here. This little plugin will now tell you that you have a missing return type, as you can see right here on line 41. And you can cable this with minimum of 100%. And now, if you cable this on your CI, you will see that type coverage is below expected, which 91%, it should be 100. So what we can do is literally making sure, first of all, we have everything typed, and then we go to composer.json, and we add this to our test suite as well. So what we can do here is real quick is type, I'm going to test the type coverage real quick, and ensure that if I type pass -- type coverage, I have minimum of 100%, and obviously I want to use this as well on my test script. So now if I run my test script, I should have the entire thing running, including type coverage. Morda is saying, there is any limitations for stress test? I mean, without it can be easily used for attacks. Yeah, you can literally use this tool for making attacks. However, you need to be mindful that if you are using this tool locally, you will be using always the same IP address. And if your domain is using something like Cloudflare, you will be eating some sort of firewall from Cloudflare for sure. Pavlos Gal is asking, what is the point to have refactor and past plugin then? Can you elaborate a little bit? Apologize, man. I may be missing context here. Apologize. Marl is asking if this is Python. Oh, this is actually PHP at the moment. But the project we are building together will be using Laravel PHP, Laravel PHP, React on the front end with TypeScript and Tailwind CSS. That's kind of the goal at the moment, okay? How long do you think this project will take, is asking Ismail from Twitter. I think the very first version will not take long, meaning that I want to have this live as soon as possible. Like once we have like 2 features, I want to have this online. I don't care if the front end is like ugly as hell. I want to have this online so people can use it for free as fast as possible. That's kind of the goal. So for sure we are going to need to have some sort of, some sort of UI at least that displays something. That's for sure. I don't think I will be using Livewire for this project. I absolutely love Livewire, but I had a good experience with React on my last project, so I want to use React again. And it also will be a good moment to literally ramp my skills a little bit more on React and, possibly using other, conventions that people that I don't know about yet. I think it will be fun. Yeah, not a lot of people have heard about stress testing with past PHP, that's for sure. I think we can remove this. Apparently it's not being used on React, so let's remove this from React or PHP. Okay, so typically I expect to run reactor with dash dash, dash dash the right run. It should literally just still pass as expected, which it's a little bit slow. It's probably because of coverage in Xdebug, which is literally being cabled. But yeah, it's passing as expected, okay? So let's push this at the moment, what we have, okay? Let's type git add-p and type adjusts skeleton tooling. We have talked a little bit about this prefix on commits already, right? So you guys know, I always use literally, shore, fit, fix, refactor. The convention is simple. If you're doing like an odd fix or a simple fix, you want to prefix this with fix, which is super easy. Just type fix, model, for example, not appearing on click, for example, okay? If you're using something that impacts a little bit your workflow on the CI or compose.json, you want to call that shore, basically, which is typically, metadata missing, for example, CI workflow, okay? Then you have other kind of prefixes you can use, potentially refactor, which is one I use a lot, typically when I change the code, but I'm not fixing anything, or I'm not also, adding any new feature. So this is literally like, let's say process or login screen, let's say this. Okay, so there is no features, there is no anything. It's really like just refactoring. Obviously, we have the fit, when you are literally, potentially adding a new user profile, which I always use. Let me think if I forgot anything, but this is what I use typically. Fix, shore, refactor, fit. Am I missing something? What do you guys think? I also use the docs one, by the way, which when I change the README or I try to add any sort of documentation, I typically use the docs one as well, like add, for example, admin instructions, for example. Okay. Oh, someone just sent me a link about conventional commits. Let's open this a little bit. Oh, apparently it's like the place where everything I just have said is written on paper, being some sort of, some sort of official style, call it conventional commits. So you can see the fit, you can see the fix as well, the shore, the docs, the refactor. Interesting. They add a few of them as well, like CI for CI work, perf for improving performance, test. Yeah. Oh, test is a good one actually. Do you guys use this? Which, like, just write your typical commit message on the chat. What is your typical commit message on the chat? I want to see. Write that below because I'm super curious to see, like, what do you typically write on your commit messages, by the way? Oh my god, I knew it. Everyone is like typing fix, work in progress, whip. I just knew it. Oh my god. Oh my god, this is hilarious, man. No way. Like, literally everyone writes whip here? Oh my god. Come on, guys. We need to fix this. Okay, we need to fix this. Oh my god. Let's be realistic, okay? Let's be realistic. I understand the joke. If you are literally POCing, we move fast and everything like that. But, if you look at this, like, let's be realistic. If you look at the commit history on GitHub and you see like this stuff right here, it does look cool, It does look cool. Like, when you are about to do a release, you are about to do release and you want to understand if it's if it's like, 2.0 or potentially 2.0.1, you just come here, you see a feat, obviously the 3.0 already, If you don't see a feat, will be potentially already 2.0 because you just have to bump the minor number, okay? So if you see only refactoring docs, you don't even need to release anything because it's literally nothing at all, you know what I mean? That will impact the customer. So, I get like the joke about whip, but you definitely want to use like some sort of conventional commits. You know what I mean? Okay, Claudio Dev is saying already something that makes sense in my line of work. You say something like fix, and then you put the text number. Actually, that's actually very, very usual on the projects I have worked with. Like literally start with, you know, the commit number, for example, cloud 123, and then you would put here starts, you know, like gets, you know, job class done or whatever. But this literally attaches this given commit to a given ticket on either be, you know, Jira or linear or whatever, and then you can click on the thing to literally see that and see more details. Okay. It's actually a good idea. Like if you have, you know, some sort of platform with an ID, with a description and details, you can literally just go here and type, you know, let's call this SAS1 or whatever, and then this will be the ID of the ticket. You know, which is pretty cool in my opinion. And it visually helps everyone. Oh my god, man. What people will say about me when all of my viewers are using whip? People will think that I teach you guys that stuff. Come on, man. You cannot be using PHP stand and rector and coverage and type coverage and stress testing and past PHP and using commit whip messages. Come on, let's be real here. Oh my god, you guys are so hilarious. It's just crazy. Oh, João Machado is saying something really cool, which is called it Git Cliff, which can generate a changelog from conventional commits. Wow. Oh, you guys see how useful actually is to use a pattern like conventional commits? So apparently basically it's a tool that grabs like feat, fix, or docs or whatever. It grabs all of this and then transforms that on a changelog that looks beautiful for our customers. You know what I mean? Which potentially we could use for this project as well. João Machado, do you think are you able to literally install this potentially in our SaaS project and have this cabled somehow either to a CI or whatever and generate the changelog thanks to that? That will be fun. Oh my god, people are still saying whip for everything. Jesus. All right, we're done with this topic. Okay, I'm gonna send you guys this tool right here because some people are actually seem interested about it, so I'm gonna send you. There we go. Yeah, Daniel, potentially we are going to use, for sure, React on this project. You're welcome, Arthur. Fabio from TikTok is saying, if you need help in the client with Tailwind, let me know. I will do, thank you. Yes, so eDrills is asking, have you decided with the project already? We did. We are literally building an analytics SaaS tool, okay? Will be like PanPHP, but like a web version of it, where people are going to send, you know, the analytics through our API, and they will be able to see those analytics on real UI. That's kind of our goal, okay? What we have already. So sure, adjust skeleton tooling, which looks cool. I'm gonna push this, and I don't have anything else. I'm gonna push, and yeah, if I go to my which tab it is this one? Yeah, it is. I see already short adjust analytics tooling, and yeah, it just looks cool. Come here, you know, short add skeleton, short adjust skeleton tooling. Imagine like coming here after 200 commits and just see whip, 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 whip. Which suggestions for the name you guys already have? Penanalytics.com, Penmetrics. Who is there? Oh my god. Inside.cloud. This looks AI generated. I'm gonna be honest with you, Tutu. This looks really AI generated, dude. My Astro Tool Analytics, nice. Okay, let's move forward here. Okay, so tooling wise, I feel we're ready at least. Okay, Let's now move a little bit into our app.service provider and kind of do the things we always do in our app service provider regarding, set up some of that Laravel goods we always use, okay? Let's start with the most traditional one. I have made a full video about this, like the things I usually do when I start a new Laravel project. But it's typically, there is a few things I always do in my Laravel apps regarding, protecting the database, protecting the production database against, migration force commands that just destroy the database. So we are going to do all of that today. Oh, V0SN is saying I forgot the python.json, which I did indeed. Let's do that real quick. And then come back into this. I'm gonna type a new file, python.json, and I'm gonna copy my python.json I have on Pinkery already, which should add, some sort of final classes, which you guys always love. So pinkery.com, let's go all the way here and copy the python.json. And what this does is like, not a lot of people use this, but literally you can have a python.json file, which, put some, general things I usually like to see on my code, like declare strict types on the top of my file. What else? Use final B string functions usually. Use new without parentheses, which is pretty cool. No superfluous else conditions. Order the elements on my class. This is actually very useful. So basically, if you have a class with public, protected, and private methods, we'll basically start with the public ones and then go to the protected ones and finally go to the private ones. Use self instead of static. Change all of the protected to private. This is pretty cool. Let's copy this. Copy this and go to our coding and copy this on my python.json. There we go. I should have only my python.json real quick. I do have something which I have changed on my app service provider. Let's revert that real quick. There we go. Okay, let's do what? Let's run pint. So if I type vendor bean pint -- test, it should actually made a lot of changes. Yeah, it will add basically, I don't know if you guys can see it real quick, but it will add basically strict types to every single file we can find, but also, finalize some classes as well. And it should be it. Yeah, let's run this. So vendor bean pint, and there we go. All our files now will have this final keyword below. Will also be, have declare strict types. I have an entire video explaining you guys why do I use declare strict types, okay? And I have explained you literally like why this is important and why you should literally use it in all your projects, okay? Tutu is saying it was not AI. Okay, dude, it's all right. Dukatin is asking me why do I use final classes? Really for the same reason. There is no actually like reason besides like being consistent. I like to see the word final in all my classes to literally be a little bit implicit about the fact that I don't use inheritance anywhere really. Okay. This is something I always follow, but I feel like, especially because this project will be open source, if people see like that I'm using final classes all over the place, they will probably keen to not use inheritance in any new feature they may actually contribute to this project. This is kind of my goal. If you don't know what final classes are, by the way, I'm going to explain you real quick. So let's go here into my public index.php and explain you real quick what is final classes, okay? So if you have, for example, a class person, okay, which is a regular simple class, and then just below you have a class called student, for example, okay? Some people may actually solve problems by literally extending the person like that, okay? And this code will actually compile. So if I var dump, this actual code, if I go into PHP and I run this by typing PHP public index.php, this should actually compile. Yeah, I need to do this. I'm gonna type here new student, I think. I'm gonna type student, equals to new student. There we go. I'm going to var dump the student at the end. This should just compile and just work as expected if I fix all my unexpected tokens, as you can see. Now, when you use the final keyword, so let's assume I come here. When I use the final keyword, I'm literally saying I have this class, but it's not meant to be extended, you know? It's not meant to be reused as an inheritance class. So this student class cannot actually inherit from a final class, okay? So maybe, you know, maybe the person about to contribute will say, well, I cannot do this, so I'm going to just basically remove that and probably make my class final as well. And this code will still compile now. Okay, but obviously, if I were to, you know, try to compile my project still with this extends person, because we have the final keyword, this code will actually not even compile. So you can see class student cannot extend final class person. At the end of the day, I'm going to be honest with you. At the end of the day, what really matters is that you are consistent in your project. Like, something I don't like to see is literally two different styles of code in the same project. Like, you know, end up going to a project where I see actions in users, but I see event sourcing in whatever, and then I see like final classes, and then I see classes using dependency injection, and then I see classes not using dependency injection, and then I see classes being final, but other classes not being final, and then I see declare strict types like in 50% of the classes. Like, literally inconsistency. That code that does not look the same is the thing I don't like a lot. Is the thing I hate the most. So being consistent is the most important thing you can have in your project, because new contributors will have a clear idea how to contribute things because everything looks the same. What do you guys feel about this, by the way? Luis de Cruz is saying, hi, good to know that final. Yeah, I feel like, you know, it's not something important to know. You know what I mean? If you're not using the final keyword, you are not missing out, okay? You are not missing out. But yeah, it's just, you know, it's a visibility keyword in PHP that forbids inheritance, basically. By the way, do you guys use final or not? If you use final, say yes. If you don't use final, say no. Someone on Twitter is saying, I would love to see you explaining dependency injection because you are a really good teacher. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate that. Loving is asking me, what are my thoughts on Rust? I have used Rust. You know, I've literally gave a talk about how people in PHP can use Rust. The only problem about Rust is that there is no actual real-world usages on my line of work, at least. Oh, so a few people on the chat say they don't typically use final classes, but a few say yes, interestingly. It's like 80% of the people don't use it, but there is some people who actually use it sometimes. Interesting. But yeah, let's move forward. Where were we? So we did literally run Pint on this, which literally changed all my project regarding adding declare strict types and also final classes. So with Pint, now we are literally ensured that if someone comes here and comes and do something like, you know, services, let's type this, for example, database service provider. If someone types something like this, for example, we know that now we have Laravel Pint that will make sure that this class is also using strict types. It's kind of respecting the style of code we are using. So if I were to create something like this, without the final keyword, but also without declare strict types, first things first, my CI will literally fail because I'm going to type pint -- test. This will fail because this class is not final, doesn't use strict types. So obviously, if I run just pint, just like normal, it will literally fix the entire style of my new class, which is quite cool. Let's clear our console, run git status, and just literally commit all of this. This is still like a short in my opinion, and I'm going to type adjust coding style. Okay, something really simple. Paul is saying, I sometimes extend classes. What is about extending classes that you hate so much? You know, I'm going to tell you something. Typically, for example, on Laravel Cloud, I'm not using inheritance at all, for example. I don't think I have a class that extends something besides the classes from the framework, for example, because typically there's a way or a functional way of solving the problem without using inheritance at all. The problem about inheritance in general is that if you have multiple classes, let's say class A, for example, if you have class A and then you have, for example, class B, and then you have class C, and if class C extends B, and if class B extends A, the likelihood that if you change something on class A, that will break something along the line is high, okay? So you want to have like literally all your classes the most independent as possible. So, you know, you want to be free to literally change something on class A without breaking anything else. And potentially if you are abusing inheritance, not using, but abusing inheritance, there is some likelihood that if you are doing stuff with class A, that will break something along the line on the other classes, okay? Yeah, I typically don't use abstract classes. It's very rare, very rare. Logic BR is saying, I thought you were against final classes. Dude, it's just a keyword, man. It's just a question of styling. That's it. Okay, let's move forward. You know, let's move forward. Let's clear our terminal and what we were doing. So literally we fixed the coding style in our project. By the way, we are with amazing viewership today. Close to 200 viewers across Twitch and YouTube. So I really appreciate your support and thank you so much for being on that side. Let's move forward to our app service provider. So I have a full video about how important it is to configure your Laravel application to literally, you know, because there are a few tweaks you can do to models, to commands, to everything. You can call it statically that on your app service provider and it will make your life easier, okay? So I'm gonna move here to YouTube real quick because I want to send you this. I want to send you this video so you guys can watch this if you want afterwards. The video, it's called the video, it's called the 5 must-haves on my app service provider. Dude, this, okay? And I want to check them, you know, because I create these videos, but I also want to check these videos and I'm forgetting something, you know what I mean? So the first one I always use is called configure commands to literally forbid any destructive commands on my production environment. So let's code this real quick. Let's go into our register and let's call this configure commands. And let's go all the way down and have now a private function called it configure commands. And the only thing it does, it's literally type check. Yeah, there you go. DB prohibit destructive commands. And I want to use this, I think, only in production. So this accepts a true or a false. So what I can do is type something like this, app is production or production, I think. How is it called? Is production, there we go. Just like that. So super simple. If we are in production, we don't allow any command like phpr doesn't migrate fresh or whatever, okay? So basically this facade is literally telling you, if you are in production and the user were to run something like this, don't allow the user to do that, okay? And I can show you an example, I think. Let's type phpr doesn't migrate fresh, for example. This should just work, as you can see, but let's do something that I just told you that you should never do. Let's move here this thing to production, okay? I think it's, yeah, production. So if I do this, and if I run phpr to migrate fresh, it's just literally saying this command is forbidden for running on this environment. This is pretty cool, right? It's one of my favorite things on Laravel, by the way. Ivo Ferreira is saying, I thought I was wrong not using abstract classes. Well, you are on my team. Thank you, man. Great question from Janiki1820, which is a first-time chat. So first of all, welcome to the stream. If you don't know me, my name is Nuno Maduro, PHP and Laravel developer. I'm also a Laravel core team member, and today we are building a SaaS together, okay, from scratch. And you were asking if there is a way to add the comma at the end of the line. Yeah, I know, like, I do understand that you coming from the JavaScript ecosystem, something you don't have to do is literally add this little comma point thing at the end of every single line. It's just something that we have to deal with PHP, and I would recommend you to actually type those, because I feel like over time it just gets natural to you. Just like to me today, it's just natural to literally create a new variable, for example. It's just natural to start with a $sign, which is something that you possibly don't do. I would recommend to literally just type this at the end of every single line, because it's something we always do in the Laravel space. PHP space, I apologize. And I'm here to learn a little bit about PHP. You're welcome, man. You are very welcome. By the way, there is this website I always use to learn anything on the PHP space. It's called Laracas. Okay, Laracas is literally the place to go if you want to learn any PHP or Laravel development. It's my favorite place to go, that's for sure. And you can go there and literally learn about everything on the PHP and Laravel sphere. And I'm not the only one telling you. I'm pretty sure that everyone in the chat loves Laracas, and you have literally a series about everything: object-oriented PHP principles, LiveWire 3 from scratch. You know, you can learn literally everything from this website. Okay, it's called laracas.com, and I love it. Yeah, you will see people saying you that people have learned from Laracas because it's literally, you know, one of the best places to go if you want to learn PHP. Caffeine Dev is saying, isn't that weird that we are working with a DB facade? Oops, apologize. There we go. I don't think it's weird, dude. I think like on at DB level, we forbid any type of commands. You know what I mean? I think this is fine. Daniel Reyes, welcome to the stream, dude. Nice to see you, man, again. Second best place. Watching Nuno is the first one. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate all your support, man. The application is commands. Okay, this is the first one I always like to do. Let's go back into the video and learn how we have done this. So the first one is DB commands. The second one is configure models. Yeah, of course, we always do this as well. Let's go here into my register. Let's call this configure models. And something I always do in my models, and you guys know this from the video already, I type something like configure models, which returns void, and I always do something like model unguard. And what is the last one? Oh, it's strict. Yeah, model strict. This is like super useful, by the way. Is it strict? I think I can remember the name. I don't have auto completion. What the heck? It should be strict. There we go. And should be strict literally all over the place. There we go. Oh, YouTube viewers is about more than 100. I didn't know, man. That's cool, man. That's cool. For those who are watching me right now, if you don't know me, my name is Nuno Maduro. I'm a PHP and Laravel developer, and you know, I'm also a Laravel core team member. And today we are building an application from scratch. So far, everything we have done is adjust the skeleton to the best practices. Something I always do is making sure I have a full test suite running and working for me. So something I can do at the moment, for example, is coming here and type composer install. If I do this, I have my entire test suite running at the moment. So as you can see, first things first, type coverage with 100% code coverage. Then we are running pack, which is something we have developed all together to detect misspellings. The next one is running past PHP on parallel with coverage with 100% code coverage as well. Finally, we run Pint to ensure our code is styled. And we run PHP stan, which is our TypeScript in PHP world, by the way. And finally, we run Rector to ensure that our code is fully standard up to the latest changes of PHP. Oh, we're actually having our test suite failing at the moment, so let's run vendor bin Rector to actually address the issue it's complaining about. Nuno2 Costa is asking, why are you doing those things? on the register, but not in the boot? That's a very good question. Potentially it should even be on the boot. Let me check. That's actually a very good point. I'm gonna move to the boot. Yeah. So typically, by the way, if you guys don't know, typically the register, if we talk about the life cycle of Laravel, typically the register should be used only and only for container bindings, okay? So if you are registered, for example, you know, a contract in a concrete implementation on the container should be done at the register level. However, if you are using any sort of, you know, facades like we are using here, potentially you always want to do that at boot level, because you will no longer depend on the order where things are going to be registered. Okay, so thank you so much for that, you know, for that feedback, Nuno to Costa. Definitely we should do that at boot level. Rafael is asking me which IDE I'm using. I'm using PHP Storm, which is, in my opinion, the best editor for PHP development. Kurai, yes, I will be using Inertia on this project. We're going to build this, you know, probably working through the skeleton and then domain logic and then actions and then kind of making sure we have everything in place to receive a good front end. Once we have, you know, a designer actually working for us, we're going to implement the front end. It's very likely that we're going to do the front end in the very simple UI with React and Inertia 2, but without any sort of, you know, beautiful design. Okay, so configure commands, configure models. What else do I want to do? I want to ensure that we configure the dates as well. I'm not sure I've talked about this one, which is something I always do, is configure the dates on my project. I want to make sure I'm using the immutable dates. There we go. Let's type here configured application is dates. I want to make sure that Carbon uses the immutable thing. How can I do this? I literally forgot about this. I'm using this here, I don't know. Strict models, HTTP schema. Okay, I'm not using it here. So let's go to Pinkery, because I'm probably using it on Pinkery. Let's click on About. Let's go all the way down. Check this project, which is open source. Let's click on App. Providers and App Service Provider. And something I'm doing here is configure dates. There we go. I love this one. So it's basically ensuring that we are using Carbon immutable. Not a lot of people know about this, but there's literally a problem, in my opinion, with Carbon in general in Laravel, which is dates are literally mutable when you call things, when you call methods on those objects. I'm going to show you this. You probably wouldn't expect this, but it's literally, in my opinion, dates in Laravel should be immutable by default in Laravel 11, but it's not the case. But I'm going to show you real quick. I'm going to go back into my coding and literally just showing you this, okay? Let's go here and just call this method right here on top. Configure dates. Let's do something like date equals to now, for example, okay? So if you were to, let's say, send this date to a new function, you know, something like this, a private function, my method, for example, and receive like a date here, for example. And I'm going to just, you know, send this potentially to the my method. You know what I mean? If the my method persists this date for some reason, like some sort of, you know, persists this date like as a property potentially, like this or whatever. If you were to make changes on a date, like for example, add day, for example, you are actually changing the object you sent through reference. You know what I mean? So when you do add date or add day, you are effectively also changing the date that you have sent to this method. You know what I mean? Not a lot of people know about this, which leads to a little bit to unexpected behavior, in my opinion. I'm going to actually show you a even more better example, actually. I apologize about that. So let's do something like have this portfolio model, for example, okay? In this portfolio model, you have this method create, which receives a bunch of dates, okay? Like you type something like start date equals to, you know, potentially date, okay? And then let's type here, date equals to now. Obviously, this will be actually a real Carbon instance, but you send the date to the start date, but then you have something just below, which is the end date, which will be the date plus 7 days. This is like this is actually a real use case. So by doing something like this, you are effectively also changing this date. So both will have plus 7 days. This is crazy, right? Yeah, I'm gonna show. I'm gonna actually run this code so you guys can see this. Okay. So you probably would expect that the start date will be like today, thanks to this, and the end date will be today plus 7. But effectively, you are adding 7 days to both dates. Yeah, it's a little bit crazy. I'm gonna show you this because not a lot of people know about this. Okay. So let's actually run this code. Let's call this like data equals to this. And let's effectively type dd data. Okay, so if I run pass, it should actually pass through this code. There we go. Let's format this. Let's type let's go here and let's actually, yeah, there we go. Wait a second. Yeah, how is the best way to actually simplify this? DD, yeah, DD would be a good idea, but actually it's not doing its job in the way that I want. Problem. And then you say, okay, the date of my new model will be the start date, which is today, but the end date will be today plus 7. Not a lot of people know about this, but if you were to actually run this and potentially actually use a model to create this, like portfolio, for example, create with that data, effectively the start data and the end data will have the same date. Let me show you that on a console. So if I run vendor pass, you can see that now both the start date and the end date are literally today plus 7 days. Okay, not a lot of people know about this, but there is actually a solution for this, and the only thing you have to do is go to your app service provider, and within your boot method, the only thing you have to do is have some sort of function that looks like this. You type date, I think. There we go, and then you type use immutable, I think. Use, and then you type immutable. What is the name of this? I literally forgot. Let me go here to Safari real quick. Yeah, there you go. You type Carbon immutable class. Okay. So there is a solution for this, and the only thing you have to do is type date, then double column, and you type use Carbon immutable. And a really cool thing about this is that now if you run your code, you will see that effectively the start date will be today, but the end date will be 7 days from now, which is literally something that you probably should have in all your projects. What do you guys think about this? Yeah, so the real question here, in my opinion, is that this probably should be in Laravel by default, in my opinion, okay? Dates should be immutable because they lead to this unexpected behavior, in my opinion, which not a lot of people know about. And I've run into this problem probably every single Laravel application, by the way. Okay, there is a question on YouTube on why this is happening, by the way. Okay, I'm gonna try to explain you. The reason why this is happening is that in PHP, literally objects are literally always provided by reference, okay? Objects are always provided by reference, okay? So if you are sending an object through your application, the object will be always the same no matter where the object is stored, okay? So if you are doing something like add days, in the add days is instead of returning a new date object, is mutating the current object. That's why this is happening. It's for that reason. You know what I mean? So effectively, if I were to reproduce this problem, I'm going to try to actually reproduce this problem using this this approach with std class. Not okay. So I'm going to type object equals to new std class. Okay, and I'm going to type here something like days equals to 1. Okay. So let's actually reproduce the problem exactly like we have below. Let's type data equals to, how can I do this exactly? Let's type here start date which is equals to object days plus plus. Can I do it this way? I cannot. Well, just to say that basically when you do something like this twice, you are effectively not returning a new object and mutating the current one. You know what I mean? So this is effectively what's happening when you work with mutable objects. You want to make sure they are immutable. So each time you call add days, you are effectively returning a new date object, which is effectively what carbon immutable does. Okay? Just to say, by default, I wish Laravel 11 to come up with carbon immutable by default, so we don't have to face this problem. Moda is saying that you can use data copy add days. Dude, I understand that, but I don't think it's expected that people have to do this. You know, I understand that we can do this. I just don't think it's normal that we have to ask people to do this. You know, this should just be immutable by default. Period. What do you guys think? That's my opinion, at least. It is the copy, but it is ugly. I agree with you, man. Right? It's crazy, huh? All right, so let's finish this up. Let's go here and use actually carbon immutable and make sure we have this in my code. I just noticed that on Pinkery. On Pinkery, actually, we have a few things. So we are using configure models. We obviously want to configure the password validation rule. This is a very interesting one. Let's copy this one, which is pretty cool. Do I want to do this now? I don't know. Probably not. Let's do this once we actually have some login form on this app. But I have configured dates as well. And that's it on Pinkery. I do have a few more ones on the video, I think. Something we have on the video is configure URLs. Let's type here configure URLs and go all the way down to have a new method, which is called private function configure URLs. There we go. And obviously you want to force the schema HTTPS. This is like just as a safeguard, basically. I want to make sure that my application only answers to HTTPS requests, you know. So potentially, if anything is trying to visit my application through regular HTTP, something you can do is just use this, force the schema HTTPS, so we'll be always serving and, you know, using HTTPS connections in your project. This theme is called Cappuccino Matcha, by the way. It's one of my favorites. I feel that I open this tab literally all my streams because I just love it, you know. As a developer, something I always like to do is making sure that I'm fully productive with my tooling. And obviously the theme and the font is something really important, okay? By the way, if you don't know me, my name is Nuno Maduro, PHP and Laravel developer. So welcome to the stream to begin with. And I'm a Laravel core team member. I love PHP. I love what I do. And if you like my work, if you like my content, feel free to give me a follow on Twitch, but also on YouTube. And on YouTube, also leave that like. I would really appreciate that. But yeah, also, you know, Cappuccino Mocha is the theme I'm using, which comes with these very nice icons on the left. The last thing I want to do here is configure as well my VOD assets. So I'm going to go here and type this, configure VOD. Because I want to make sure that my VOD serves all my assets at once and really fast. We're going to see once we have actually React installed on this project. But something we can do is call VOD the facade and force the aggressive fetching. Okay. There we go. Mindzone Real Life is saying another tip. If you type pubf or privef on PHP Storm and you hit tab, you make a public and private function. Really? Let's try that. Let's click here and type something like pubf. Interesting, I didn't know that. And what happens if I type privef? Nice. Oh my god, PHP Storm is so good. Dude, I'm gonna show you something that I just noticed about PHP Storm today, which is one of my, you know, that's why I love PHP Storm so much. Let me show you. I'm gonna type here PHP Artisan make model let's call this, for example, team. Okay, obviously I don't need a team yet, but let's just to show you this, I'm going to go to my models visit this class team, and I'm going to type here use as factory. Just check this out. PHP Storm is complaining about this as factory because I have literally included the trait, but I don't have a factory yet. Therefore, this trait makes no sense at all. So it's just saying, okay, you have included this trait, but we don't have a trait yet. So please click on create factory so we can have your factory for you. And then when I click yes, it's literally already pointing me to the factory definition. It's already pointing me to the factory definition. This is so nice. What do you guys think about this? Oh my god, man. Sealy, thank you so much for the resubscription, 2 months in a row. Tier 1, I really appreciate your support, dude. Thank you so much. So you guys think this is Laravel idea? Yeah, but yeah, this is Laravel idea. I apologize about that, but it's truly awesome Laravel idea, by the way. So thank you so much for, the people are working on it, because I just love this. It's amazing, man. João Machado says, you should have a referee code for PHP Storm. I probably should. I don't know, man. I'm literally in touch with PHP Storm already to see if we can, if we can somehow work together a little bit regarding, potentially referral code or a link or whatever. But let's see how it goes. Christian is saying, do you use var dump? I don't. I use literally DD all the time for my debugger. Yeah, this is awesome, man. I love PHP Storm. PHP Storm is doing a great job, not only with the editor itself, but also supporting the community. We can literally see PHP Storm being one of the top, people helping the PHP core team. Props to PHP, by the way. All right, let's remove this factory thing. Let's go here into our database factories and remove the team factory. We don't need this. Okay, let's type git status. Let's type git add-p. What do we have here? So we obviously have all the changes we have made in our app service provider, which we want all of them, I think. Yeah, pretty much everything. We also have this visibility change by Rector PHP, which changes this protected to private. Effectively, it doesn't need to be protected. It can be private indeed. And I want all of this for sure. Let's run composer test to see if we have a passing test suite. And we have this strong test suite to see how it goes. Okay, we have a problem with styling. Apparently, in an app service provider, we are using imports that we shouldn't. So if I go to my app service provider, I can indeed understand that Carbon is not being used. I'm going to type now vendor bin pint to literally fix my code. There we go. And I can run my entire test suite once again. Redizio, welcome to the stream, dude. We are already developing hardcore the SaaS Laravel application we talked about in the previous streams. So our goal is literally, set up the skeleton, which is currently what we are working on. And, moving forward, ideally, the goal is that we set up the skeleton of the project with the tooling and everything, and then we move to the domain logic. So here, my goal is literally creating all the models, all the relations, all the actions, and kind of have everything ready for when we need an API, we can call those actions. And finally, we will need like the package, which will be used at a customer level. I was thinking potentially that this should be literally a la Google Analytics. So people will potentially, use a script which comes from panphp.com or whatever this site is called in the future. And then we'll potentially just do data pan and call this, button 1. And that will automatically send all the events to our system through the API. That's the way I was thinking. And, in the future, we obviously need as well some sort of simple UI until a designer came and do a great job, okay? All right, so we have our user factory. What else are we missing at the moment? We have configured our app service provider to kind of do everything it should. This is looking really cool and aligned, which just looks perfect. This is looking really cool. So let's try to close the skeleton topic. At the skeleton level, in terms of tooling and kind of the default things we are doing, you want to make sure that our skeleton really looks cool and clean. Are we missing something? Like regarding everything we have talked about in the previous streams regarding PHP Stan, Reactor, and everything. Do you guys think we are missing anything? I think we have done everything I would typically do. Probably my next step would be effectively start working on the domain logic, which would be creating the database relations and all the tables we need for this project. Luis is saying similar to You May Me in Phantom. Dude, I'm gonna tell you something that is more than 1,000 analytics tools, and this one will still be popular. Mark my words. You can clip this if you want to, but I just know when I get myself super into something, things really just work. Pinkery is one good example, but also my other open source stuff got popular because I really got some effort on it, and I feel like if we build this all together here on stream, if we make this fun, if we with good vibes and using good practices and using great tooling like Laravel, Tailwind, React, but also this great tooling we have on the back end, our amazing and favorite language PHP, there is no real reason why this wouldn't be popular. Even if nobody uses this tool, I will be the one using it. Okay, Pick and Flow is saying why we are rebuilding a UI if people can use the app CLI. So, Pick and Flow, potentially, if people go through a script tag on top of the HTML content, obviously, we want to make sure they go to our SaaS and they can effectively, see some charting and see some data, probably, checked with CI and everything. Oh, Paulo is saying a great point. Maybe today we are missing GitHub Actions, and we are. Let's work on that. Thank you, Redizio. I really appreciate you saying that. I'm very likely to use this. I want to put this on Pinkery regardless, you know what I mean? I want to put this on Pinkery, potentially suggest this to Laravel Cloud as well. So we're chilling, okay? Let's work a little bit on GitHub Actions, because we haven't talked about that, and I feel it's a great topic to, to kind of end this skeleton story. So GitHub Actions, let's see how can we do GitHub Actions to begin with. Let's go here to Safari. Let's go to pinkery.com and click on this .github to understand a little bit and remind myself a little bit how this whole thing works. Yeah, let's just copy this and work from there, okay? Yeah, cool. So let's go to coding. So not a lot of people know about this, but literally GitHub provides some CI or, some sort of continuous integration service, which is literally free. Like literally free for a certain amount of minutes, at least the amount of minutes that I typically use on these kind of projects. And the only thing you have to do is really simple. You go here to your project and you create a folder with the name GitHub.github, okay? Once you do this, you create another folder with the name workflows, okay? And finally, if you want to go simple, something you can do is name this file test.yaml file. The extension is not my favorite. I'm going to be honest with you. Using YAML files is literally not my favorite thing ever, but it does the job. And I can use this template that I literally just took from pinkery.com. It comes with a bunch of steps which we can see and understand if we are going to use any of this on this new SaaS tool we are building, okay? All right, so we want to run the CI when we are pushing something to main. Okay, that looks cool. Then our jobs will have, CI workflow that runs on Ubuntu latest. I'm comfortable with this because typically on the package, if this were to be a package, you want to make sure that this runs on every single operating system. But, this will run on an Ubuntu server potentially. So we want to make sure you use the latest version of Ubuntu. Finally, the strategy will be, once you have a failing step, just fall back. And the matrix regarding, the PHP versions we are using PHP 8.4. Potentially over time, we are going to have Node here as well and more. Our CI job, we call it tests, and the first thing it does is literally install the composer dependencies, which is literally this job right here. And what this does is literally install the composer dependencies, but also cache those composer dependencies. So the next time we are running our jobs on the CI, we have literally everything cached and will be way faster. Then we set up PHP using the version we have decided on the matrix on top, and we select as well a couple of extensions. Now we are obviously using Composer 2.0, but also Xdebug for code coverage. Finally, we set up Node and NPM, and obviously here we need to bump this to the latest Node version. What is the latest Node version, by the way? I'm going to type Node -- version. It is version 22. Can you guys let me know and confirm this for me, please? Scart is asking, what is your opinion about bootcamps, and do you know Code for All or Academia at Código? So my opinion about bootcamps is that I have seen bootcamps really transforming people's lives. You know, I'm talking about a close friend of mine who literally went to a 6 months bootcamp and he got a job as a software engineer. So I cannot tell you a specific bootcamp that will just work, but I don't know the one you specified on the message. The only thing I can tell you is that if you want to learn PHP and web development, there is this great website called laracast.com. It's one of my favorites, and it is the one as well that I've learned PHP myself. So looking at the chat, people are mentioning Node 22 is the latest version, but someone mentioned 23. I think I'm using the long-term supported version, which is a 22. Okay. So on a Node version, we are going to put the Node version 22, which is the latest with long-term support. Finally, we are going to run Composer install, and we want to make sure that this runs without interaction, because we don't have to have, you know, any sort of questions, but also we don't want any sort of progress to keep our CI very clean. Finally, we do the same thing with our npm package.json. So we obviously want to cache all of the dependencies, but equally install the dependencies in our workflow running npm install. And the final step is building the dependencies using npm run build and prepare Laravel to run the test suite. In the test suite, as we have prepared, the only thing we have to do is run composer test. And obviously this requires that we set up everything in our composer.json. So literally in our composer.json, we have a single test script which will execute type coverage, we'll execute pack.php for typos, we'll execute pint for styling, we'll execute past in parallel with 100% code coverage, we'll run php stand, which is the TypeScript of PHP, and reactor.php, which enables me to have a single script, call it test, which can be used on my CI. I don't expect anything else besides pushing this and seeing this CI running. So if I run git status, I see literally nothing except changes on the README and on the app service provider. Which changes have we made? Obviously, we can type git add-p to see what we are about to push. And obviously, this is the changes I have made on my workflow, which I want to proceed with this. And then I don't want this. So something I can do is just type no, meaning I don't want these changes. And I also, on my app service provider, I want to remove classes which are not being used, so I can say yes to this. I can also go to my readme.md and literally say, you know, because we have removed this, we no longer see this over here, okay? So let's type -p and add actually that change. Okay. Git status, I do want all of this. So let's type git commit and literally just type CI, as we have learned from conventional commits, right? So if I go here into conventional commits, we have learned all together that literally we can use this CI double points to our CI related commits, okay? So let's go back into coding and literally just say git commit -m CI adjusts GitHub actions workflow. Okay, let's commit this and push. And once we do this, actually we can move now into GitHub and literally see this in action. So I'm going to open this project SaaS and refresh this page. And typically I see a yellow thing, which is already pending, which is literally my CI workflow already queued and waited for run for this check. I can click on details and see literally everything running as we have detailed it. So the first thing running is setup PHP alongside cache dependencies. It's already installing composer dependencies, as you can see here. We can move all the way down. It's going really fast. Typically, this is really fast, as I would expect. It's running npm run install. I'm wondering if this will actually run. It will. Nice. Okay. And finally, running our test suite. First thing is running is type coverage with 100%. Is literally working as expected. I would expect all of this to just pass because it's literally passing locally, okay? Pick and Flow is asking me if this test suite won't work without Xdebug. So you need the coverage driver, basically. Someone was mentioning on the chat that pcov is faster for the CI, which, you know, which potentially we could replace with Xdebug indeed. I got an error. Where exactly? Oh, Aspel not found. This is so funny because literally I have documentation about this. All right, we have documentation about this. You guys know, right? So let's go here into our project, call it PackPHP. We have created this project all together on stream. PackPHP, an amazing logo, an amazing YouTube video, and we have documentation at the end of this project which says something like CI GitHub Actions. When running Pack on GitHub Actions, you need to follow workflow to ensure that we have Aspel installed. So something we can do is just copy this little snippet we have here and go to our code and go to our test YAML file and making sure we have Aspel installed. I'm gonna do it potentially. I'm gonna do this potentially at this level potentially. Okay, I'm gonna just copy this and paste it. Install Aspel, which will be a bash script, and because I'm using Linux, I can literally just use only these lines. Okay, I can just literally do this. I think I'm gonna do it this way though. Okay, so I can type git add p. I agree that I want install Aspel. So let's say yes and commit CI and type ensure Aspel is installed and push this and wait again for the CI to pass. There we go. So obviously this have failed, but we should see this running again with yellow. And I want to talk a little bit with you guys about pull requests, because I want to actually spend the first 30 minutes of the next live stream, but not only the next one, but potentially in the future, actually reviewing pull requests, because this project is not only for, you know, me actually developing everything. I want you guys to get involved with this and potentially do, you know, some of your first experiences with open source. We have seen on the project PackPHP a lot of people doing their first time contributions, and I think that was awesome. So potentially we're going to see the same on this project as well. Okay. So let's click on details and see some of this. Aspel should already be installed. There we go. This took almost 20 seconds, which undeniably is a little bit slow. I'm wondering if there is some sort of GitHub action or GitHub plugin or whatever we can use to not have to wait for 20 seconds to Aspel to get installed. But yeah. Scared? You're welcome, dude. Yeah, I'm on Twitch, by the way. So I'm gonna put here all my socials so you guys can, you know, literally follow me everywhere. This is literally all my socials, and my Twitch link is this one, twitch.com in Maduro. Should be this one, okay? My Twitch link. But also, I'm also on TikTok and everything. So if you guys want to follow me over there, that's appreciated, okay? All right, we have our test suite passing. Let's go. So I think this pretty much closes today's live stream. I feel we did a great job regarding, we have a great skeleton to get started with this project. We have, you know, CI work as expected as well, and everything looks really clean and slim. So I don't know what you guys think. I think today was a great live stream. Oh my god, Bushta is asking me, I have heard about Laravel. Is it popular? Yeah, Laravel is probably, you know, the best batteries included web framework to do web development. So if you are literally, you know, looking for a particular stack for web development, I would highly recommend you check Laravel, because you can get stuff done really fast. You know what I mean? Like, just to give you an example, I have built this social media in 2 days, and we are talking about front end, back end, domain, website, hosting, everything. This is literally done in 2 days, and I think this is impressive work for 2 days. You know what I mean? You have following, you have training, you have search users, you have literally a bunch of stuff, verified users, everything really. So, you know, you can get stuff done with Laravel really fast. Oh, we cannot see it. Oh my god. Apologize. Okay. Again, what I was saying is that I have done this website called Pinkery in 2 days, literally. Okay. And you have following, training, front end, UI, back end, hosting, everything included on those 48 hours. So, you know. All right, so next live stream, we are going to work on a domain logic of this application. So we'll be creating models, we'll be creating the database information. There is a lot that I want to speak with you about migrations. So we haven't talked too much on previous live streams on the way that I like to do migrations, but there is a few techniques or a few things that I always do when creating migrations, regarding, you know, default values, if I like them or not, regarding constraint relations, regarding cascade deletions. There is so many things that I like or not that I cannot wait to show you tomorrow. So tomorrow at 9 p.m., I'm going to do all of this with techniques that you haven't seen before, and I just love them, okay? So there will be a full thing about Laravel migrations, and I want to show you everything I do regarding this. But I feel like there is a few techniques that I always do that really ensure consistency on my database that I want to show you all of this tomorrow. It's if we were to build an UI with inertia and React, will be definitely an SPA. Pinkery, it's done with Livewire, which technically you can call this an SPA, by the way. Drip and Castle is saying, great live stream today. Looking forward for the migrations topic tomorrow. Dude, thank you so much for your support. Literally all the streams. You are always there. Thank you so much, man. Idris, thank you so much for saying that as well. Paul, thank you so much as well, man. Thank you. Do we have anyone to rate today, by the way? Today we have amazing viewership, by the way, across Twitch and YouTube, and we stream for almost 2 hours and a half. Do we have anyone to rate that you guys know, by the way? Anyone doing PHP or Laravel or anything? Yeah, so Livewire is similar to Elixir Live View. Yeah, it's a little bit like that indeed. Okay, we have Theo. I think we are going to rate Theo. By the way, you guys are awesome. I love you all. But yeah, I'm gonna take a rest, prepare tomorrow's YouTube video. But yeah, thank you so much today. It was awesome. I had really fun today, and tomorrow will be no different. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much for being on that side, and I catch you guys tomorrow. Okay, peace out.